Yeah, I'm good. Excuse me. How long has Chinatown been here?
A while.
A while.
Long time.
Long time. It was over like 10 years?
Yeah, at least.
Oh, okay, okay. Because, well, we have a school project and they asked us, like, here, come to Chinatown and, like, talk about how long it's been here, the pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages of Chinatown. And
Basically,
I just
yeah.
wanna hear your perspective on that.
The worst, the downfalls, obviously,
Yes.
parking, it's super busy,
Yes.
but the pros, it's good for your diversity, it's good for your culture, it shows so much different kind of, like just walking down street in the market, just looking at different fruits and stuff, and
Okay.
I just think it's definitely good for Toronto because it gives you that sense of different diversity around Toronto, right?
Oh,
There's
okay.
a whole bunch of different villages. but
Yes, yes.
This just brings out that like Asian, Korean, Chinese market.
Nice, because this is the first time I'm here, and I was like, and it doesn't look like I'm in Canada. Like
I
this
know.
part of TV looks like I'm
I
in
know,
Canada,
you have, yeah.
but it kind of looks
I know.
different.
It's
And
really cool.
I've heard a bit about a contradiction, kind of like about them like eating a lot of animal
Oh
food,
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So what do you
Well, you know
think of
what?
that?
You can see differences in
Yeah.
food for sure. Like
Yes.
you go to like their local taco place and they have
Yes.
like octopus tacos. Like,
Yes, yes.
Who has that? Like,
Yes, yes.
But yeah, in terms of that, it's a good. I mean, I don't think it's unethical what they're doing. They're
Okay,
not
okay.
showing you live dogs. Or
Okay,
if that's
okay.
what the stereotype is, right?
Yes, exactly. That's
I don't.
exactly
Yeah,
about it.
I don't think. I don't think you're gonna find any dogs here, but like,
Okay.
but like cool other things, right? Like
Yes,
the
yes.
different seafoods are awesome. They're so good. You have to try something. Yeah, but it definitely gives you a good look into what exactly they like to eat and what they like to cook and what they cook with. Like I said, just going down the market, you can see different fruits and vegetables. Even I'm
Okay.
like, what is that? And I'm a huge cooker, and I'm like, what vegetable is that?
Okay, okay.
It's cool. It's a good differential,
Yeah,
good perspective of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No
Like I really
problem.
appreciate your.
No
You
problem.
have a lot of. Thank you so much for your time.
No
I
problem.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for asking your question.
Okay, so let me start. What do you feel? What's your name, please? Adam. Adam. Nice to meet you. What do you feel about animal consumption as it relates to food?
You want me to look at the camera?
Yes, yes, we do.
Yeah. I guess for the people watching, animal consumption for food, if the animal is domesticated, I feel that it's okay, mainly on a survival basis. And you can look at that historically too, for everybody, not everybody, but for people who didn't have institutionalized way of getting food. So if there weren't like institutional farms, which are unethical, but the ethical is separate from consuming it. Consuming it, there are certain animals that are okay and not okay, and they're likely just okay because of the historical aspect and the tradition to it. Like we have a tradition or historic, what's the word I want to use? We have an historic association with eating cows and pigs and chicken, and we ate them historically because of the fact that we needed to survive, and there was nothing else to sustain it with, and it was sustainable so long as we didn't over farm them and like abuse the animal, like why am I not able to get the words here, the right words? We didn't endanger the species.
So, sorry to confuse you, but you're making a pretty good point. But coming, for example, there's a bit of like contradiction, kind of about. I know you said you don't know much about Chinatown.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of contradiction about Chinatown, saying that they eat a lot of animals as means of food. Now, when you say only animals that are domesticated, as you put it, what if I was from China, for example, and back in my country, it doesn't matter. We consider all as meat. Was there a difference between a chicken and a dog? They're both animals, but you're saying domesticated. But as a Chinese person, for example, he said from his country, that is meat. It doesn't, they're all animals. So why is dog better than the chicken to you?
If we go based on that premise that
Yes.
there is a person who exists that believes that,
Yes.
there are, to me, ethical issues with that because dogs and cats have always been, specifically those, have always been used to show compassion. Ancient Egyptians had sphinxes, which were just modified forms of cats that we used for affection. They had cats themselves, and dogs are always, domesticated dogs at least are always represented as being affectionate, man's best friend. If you want to use that
Yes,
adage,
yes.
but
Yes.
for him specifically, if he said that,
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people would try to use cultural relativism with it,
Yeah.
which fallacious, but
Yeah.
they would use it to say it's okay, but they wouldn't say it's okay. Can I say what cultural relativism is in this video?
Yeah, go ahead.
So for those who don't know, cultural relativism is the thought process that you can't judge another culture because you haven't experienced their practices and you don't live there.
Okay.
The reason why it's fallacious is because you try to assume a conclusion based on a disagreement. There's no actual talk about it. There's no discussion about why they're wrong, why they're right.
Yes.
And a specific example that was given with this, I think it was Jack Donnelly or James Rachels, I forget which one, but he talks about collations and us. So for collations, for their dead, they ate them because they wanted to have their souls always with them. And for us, we bury them because that's what we think is ethically correct. And when he brought over collations physically to, I forget if it was Europe or some other part of the world, but he brought them over and he told them what they said to each other, and they both were appalled. The collations were appalled that we buried our dead, and we were appalled that the collations ate their dead. And that was used to exemplify cultural relativism, that we can't judge them because we don't have their practices. But I think most people would agree that cannibalism is immoral, whether they're alive or dead.
Yes.
And that's just due to perspective of what you think is correct. Same with animals. Domesticated animals, most people just think aren't okay to eat. Like, I personally would never eat a dog or a cat. I have cats. I love my cats.
Yes, yeah.
And it's because they provide the compassion and affection, and chickens weren't used like that.
Okay.
Neither were pigs. They
Yes.
weren't used to provide that compassion and
To add
affection.
to what you say, there's a book that we asked to read at school.
Yeah.
It's Dangerous Crossing by Kim. And in that book, it was said there that an animal could be considered a resource and sometimes not a resource.
Yes.
For example, what's your take on animal, what do you call it? When people license to hunt. Now, if you're licensed to hunt, it's like you're free to go.
Recreational hunting?
Yeah, recreational hunting. And now, if you don't have a license, for example, you're considered a poacher. Well,
Yes.
you're both doing the same thing. So, when is it right and when is it wrong? So, is it because I do have a license or something? I can go ahead and kill an animal? So, what's your take on that part?
I definitely don't think that the legal aspect of it affects the morality. Like, laws are typically based on ethics and morals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the laws are in direct relation to the morals and that the morals are in direct relation to the laws. For people who are poachers for animals and just kill them purely for fun, to me there's a problem with that, because killing anything for fun violates their autonomy and right to live.
Okay, what about poachers are killing for maybe they want to use the parts of the animals for, they want to sell it, something like that. So what about recreation? Are they killing it for fun? Poachers are killing it to sell their parts for money or something. So why is one right and why is one wrong?
I think that more depends on the severity of it, who's doing it, whether it's individual or institutionalized or company-based.
Sometimes it's companies, sometimes it's individual.
I think you would have to have different associations for every single one of those. You couldn't just put it under a blanket umbrella term because
Okay.
it wouldn't fit. You can't say that a company has the same restrictions that an individual has. They
Yes.
don't. There are different copyright laws for companies and people, and there are different employment laws for individual contractors and companies, and even for with poaching and hunting.
Yes.
Companies who hunt animals, they
Yes.
do all safe farms.
Yes.
So disregard poaching for Bippo farms. They have the same practice.
Okay.
They breed animals and they kill them.
Yes.
And before they could breed animals, they had to kill them in the wild first. Before any institutionalization
Okay,
existed, they
okay.
had to kill them in the wild first.
Correct.
And that was for survival. But
Yes.
now currently we have that for the capitalist aspect.
Yes.
And when the individual does it, they're only permitted because they go through a process of trials to be deemed fit to hunt. And I personally think that killing anything
Yes.
for fun
Yes.
shouldn't exist.
Shouldn't exist. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I shouldn't say it shouldn't exist, but it shouldn't be allowed. We shouldn't have legal things in place for it to happen.
Yes. Okay. I want to just reference what you said previously.
Yes.
Just to conclude this, I think is it better if you can't, as you said, you can't judge someone based on their own culture. You don't know how it.
I said saying that is fallacious.
Okay, so that's
Yes,
delicious.
yes.
Okay. So do you think
Inherently
it's
fallacious.
do you think it's better we just leave people according to their culture?
No.
No.
100% no.
Okay.
I think that if we leave people according to their culture, there are
Yes.
so many issues with that. There are in some parts of I'm pretty sure in some parts of Africa,
Yes.
female genital mutilation is still practiced,
Yes.
and that's cultural, but that's very shitty.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say that on.
No, that's that's wonderful.
It's just a clear violation of so many different things,
Yes.
and if we left it alone, we would just let that exist and run rampant.
True.
And like there are things that are just people feel are immoral, regardless of their culture. Like
Yes.
I'm sure if you ask any person on Earth now,
Yes.
not any person, any person who is competent and sentient and
Yes.
capable of presenting an intelligent thought process, and you ask them, would you like your genitals mutilated? They'd probably say no. Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
But we impose that on other people.
Yes.
And if we take the cultural relativism thought process towards that, we would just allow it to happen because, oh, we don't know their culture, we're going to be
Yeah.
ignorant, and it's like the reason why it's fallacious is because you try to draw a thought process draw a conclusion from ignorance
Yes.
and from misunderstanding.
To conclude this, what's your final take on, do we need animals to survive compared like being a vegan, not being a vegan? Do we need, because in this book too they also mentioned about people believing that we need animal meat to survive. So what's your take on that? Do we need
If we're going to talk about necessary and sufficient conditions, we
Yes.
do not necessarily need animals to survive,
Okay.
and we don't necessarily.
Are you vegan? Or
No.
Okay.
I have no certain affiliation with
Okay.
veganism or
Okay.
vegetarianism.
Okay.
I don't care if people are like. I'm not going to be like, oh, you no. It's just
Yes.
it's their perspective. They
Yes.
want to do what they do.
Yes.
But I don't think that. Sorry, what was the question again?
What's your take about being
Oh, yes. Not necessarily, no, we don't need it. But again, we don't need a lot of things. Like, you don't need 2 kidneys to function as a human. But that doesn't mean that we're going to take away every kidney from a person.
True.
And give it to somebody else who needs it.
True.
That's their decision to make. And sure, we don't necessarily need meat to live. We don't necessarily need other stuff to live. We don't need Gatorade or juice to live. We have
Yes.
water. We have liquids.
Yes.
We don't need milk to live, but we use milk from a cow.
Yes.
We don't need a lot of things to live, but they can be sufficient enough for us to live.
Okay.
And if you can do it, like, if you can consume it in an ethical manner, I don't see a problem with it. And it also depends on how you view the animal too. If you view the animal as an autonomous being, and you kill it, that's threatening their autonomy. And if you put them on the same level as humans, you can't do that. Like
Correct.
logically, you wouldn't be able to kill them.
Okay. In conclusion, what do you mean by ethical manner? Yeah.
Depends.
What is it ethical to kill an animal or not? What's your take?
If they're domesticated or not.
That's it.
That would, currently,
It is
with
domesticated
my
or not.
current understanding, without reading up on different materials,
Yes.
if they're domesticated or not matters a lot. And also it matters situationally too, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a survival situation and
Yes.
a pack of wolves come up to you and you have to kill them to survive,
Yes.
you're not going to say, no, I'll let myself die.
Yeah,
You're
so-
going to have that survival instinct kick
Defend
in
yourself. Yeah.
and you will kill the wolves.
Yes.
It's sure that you could be viewed as ethically wrong if we put it under the same blanket term as you
Yes.
can't kill non-domesticated animals
Yes.
to eat,
Yes.
but you have to kill them to survive. And
Okay.
theoretically, if you have to kill them to survive, there's no reason why after that you couldn't eat them.
True.
Although that is a very specific example, but I think it just comes down to like extreme subjectivity of
Yes.
everything.
Thank you so much for your time, and that was wonderful. I really do appreciate putting you on the spot, but thank you so much for your
I
help.
hope everything, not everything. I hope